சிவாய நம. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். சிற்றம்பலத்தான் திருத்தோழன் சுந்தரன் நற்றமிழ் மாலை அணிநாவலூர் கொற்றவன் நம்பியாரூரன் பேர் நாம் ஒரு காலோதினால் தப்பிக்கும் தீவினையேதான். சிவசிவ. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். ஞானாசிரியராகவும் ஞான குருவாகவும் எம்மை வழி நடத்தும் நம்பி ஆரூரர் திருவடிகளையும் அண்ணாமலை பெருமான் திருவடிகளையும் மனம் மொழி மெய்களால் வணங்கிக் கொள்கின்றேன். As Shifaliji mentioned, Happy New Year, Happy Pongal, Happy Sankranti. So it's a lovely and an auspicious day today. I would like to thank the tireless effort of the organizers of International Hindu University for arranging this series regularly. My sincere pranams to Swamiji and all the faculties and teachers who are striving hard to light up the path of spirituality. Today, the topic given to me is 7th Thirumurai. This is my Upadesh text as well. Feeling so blessed to talk about this today, especially considering this as the new year and also on the Pradosham day. Getting to the topic, 7th Thirumurai. This is given to us by Nambi Arurar. Basically in Saiva, we have already been talking about this for a while now. Just as a small recap, there are 4 paths in Saiva Siddhantam. We call it as Sariyai, Kiriya, Yoga and Jnana. Sariya is basically, as we were talking about the other day, 25% of mind, 75% of physical body. Kriya is 50-50. Yoga is the other way. So 75% of minds and 25% physical. Nambi Arurar's life belongs to the yogic path. This path will give there's a facade called as Sarubam, which is also like a look-alike blessing. That is the path that Nambi Arurar chose, and that is what we are going to discuss about now. Nambi Arurar was believed to be in Kailash and helping out with the act of holding on the holy ash tray for Lord Shiva, and at that time he was called as Sundarar. When he was in Kailash, his original name was Sundarar. One day when he went to the flower orchards to bring some flowers for Lord Shiva, he happens to see two beautiful ladies over there. These 2 girls were serving Parvati Devi, similar to how Sundarar was serving Lord Shiva. He just saw them for a split second, and apparently those ladies also shared the same look. This created karma for all 3 of them. Immediately, Sundarar realized his mistake and went on to continue his duty. But the moment he finished his work in the orchard and he went back, Lord Shiva immediately asked, "What happened in the gardens?" I'm not sure how we would have responded if this particular question was, if this particular situation we were in. But Sundarar immediately confessed. As a result, Lord Shiva said, this place, as in Kailash, this place is considered to be the death place of karma, which is, we all know, Cupid, and there is no place for this kind of act. Since you like the 2 ladies, you don't have a choice, you have to go down to the earth, live that life and come back. This is a real shocking verdict. So on hearing this verdict, Sundarar was totally shattered. But who can talk against Lord Shiva's words, right? I mean, he's the ultimate authority anyways. So he accepted. But then he had a request. The request was, "Lord, when I'm about to make a mistake and I'm about to get more karmic deeds, and because of that I'm going to accumulate karma, please come and behold me." Lord Shiva agreed to it. That's what I used to think. Why didn't we have this kind of a presence of mind while we are coming to the earth? Why didn't we ask this to Lord Shiva? You look at our lives, right? Right from day one, how much of a karma we are accumulating, be it good, be it bad, it doesn't matter, because the moment whether it's a good karma or a bad karma, it is still going to give us this birth. That's what they used to give an analogy. A good karma is considered to be a golden jail, and basically it's a prison, but it's made of gold. But when you talk about a bad karma, it is made of, the same prison is made of iron. It doesn't matter, a prison is end of the day a prison, right? But Sundarar was smart enough to ask this request, and Lord Shiva agreed. Now Sundarar was born in Thirunavalur, a place near to Chennai. He was born in a Sivacharya family and he was named Nambi Arurar. The interesting fact is, even though he was called as Sundarar in his previous birth, not even in one of his Padigam he references his name as Sundarar. Nor Sekular, who came to write Nambi Arurar's history also, not even in one place he addresses Nambi Arurar as Sundarar. Of course, when he's talking about, when he's elaborating the historical sequence in Kailash, he's addressing as Sundarar. After the birth, he's not even addressing with the name Sundarar in one place also. And there is a very good elaboration for this Periya Puranam written by C.K.S. Iyer. He is also not referencing Sundarar as Sundarar. He is only referencing as Nambi Arurar. So the conclusion is, whoever has taken Nambi Arurar seriously as a guru hasn't addressed him as Sundarar. So it was long ago history, what happened in his previous birth. Hence, looking forward, we will also be not addressing him as Sundarar, and we will be addressing only by his now name called as Nambi Arurar. One more interesting fact is, because why I'm interested to share this is because I wanted to tell you there is absolutely nothing as a myth or a mythology when it comes to Nambi Arurar's life until today. You are able to see a lot of historical evidence. The first historical evidence is one team in India, they wanted to build a temple for Nambi Arurar in his actual birthplace itself. When they evaluated the place, the land document was still in Nambi Arurar's name. I'm not talking about something that happened long ago, just 6 years back. Now a very beautiful temple has been built for him in the exact place where he was born, because the place and his house, rather his hut, was also there, but it was in a very demolished stage. Now a beautiful temple has been constructed in that same place, and interestingly the land is still in his name. Now coming back to the history, Nambi Arurar, since he was born in Thirunavalur, he was growing up hale and healthy in that place. Looking at the cuteness overload of this kid, the king of that place, his name is Narasingha Munayar, wanted to adopt this kid. So he ends up growing as a prince as well as in the Sivacharya tradition. So that is one of the advantage for Nambi Arurar. He had the luxurious life as well as he had a very pious life as well. When he turns 16, his parents are arranging for his wedding. Those days for guys it was 16 years wedding age, and for ladies it was 12 years. But Lord Shiva, disguised as an old Brahmin man, comes down to stop the wedding as per the promise he made earlier in Kailash. He stops the wedding and argues with him and claims the slavery ownership of Nambi Arurar. Nambi gets really wild, and I mean, imagine he's sitting as a groom, he's about to get married, and a very old man comes in and he says, "Oh, you're my slave." Imagine the mindset, right? So Nambi is young, because of his young age and all these, he is getting a bit wild, and then he scolds with a word called as pitta. This particular word literally translates as madman or crazy man. But I mean, that's a long story short. This Nambi Arurar agrees to be his slave, because I mean, of course, Lord Shiva plays all his possible tricks. We know how good he will be when he's playing tricks, right? So Nambi Arurar eventually loses the case. So as a slave, he starts following his master. That is where Lord Shiva makes him realize what happened in Kailash and why now his wedding was stopped. Even today, if you go to this place, there is a place called Manam Tavirnda Puttur. It is next to Thirunavalur. The place is called as Manam Tavirnda Puttur, which literally translates as place where weddings are stopped. And I heard even now they have a tradition not to conduct any wedding ceremony until even today. So we are able to see a lot of history relating to Nambi Arurar's life. And interestingly, when he started as a Siva, he started his, basically he was born as a Sivacharya, right? So Lord Shiva asks him to sing holy hymns on Lord Shiva. Basically he says, your work is only to sing, because now you're my slave, you have to just go to each and every temple and sing praises, you have to sing hymns. That's what was given to him. So Nambi Arurar goes back again to Lord Shiva saying that, how will I sing? What should I sing? Basically we all have this question, right? So he's in a great shock. His marriage is stopped. He was growing up as a king, as a prince, suddenly getting into a slavery. Everything comes as a literal shock. So he's like, what should I start singing? Where should I start singing? What should I start with? Lord Shiva, and you can see how Lord Shiva plays his trick. He says, what did you scold me? You called me Pitta, right? So sing as Pitta itself. Start with Pitta and you sing. Imagine we are scolding someone with anger and they are asking us to sing praises with the same word. What kind of, if you can imagine that emotional feeling, right? It would have been very, very challenging. But of course, Nambi Arurar starts with a very beautiful hymn, and his very first padigam starts this way itself with Pitta. Pitta Pirai Sudi Perumane Arulala Yettal Maravadi Ninaikinrin Manatunai Vaitai Pennai Tenpal Vennai Nallur Aruturayul Attavunakala Ini Allin Yenalami. So this is how his journey starts. This is how his padigam journey also starts. Now, if someone is asking us, how would you see God? Most of us would say, oh, I see him as our father. Well, that's the common type of relationship most of us assume. I guess that's the same with most of us watching this as well. This is quite easy because the relationship comes in a very, very formal manner, and it's something that we are very much aware of, the father and the son or the daughter kind of relationship. But imagine, even in our worldly affairs, as a dad, we would hesitate to speak everything to them, right? There is always a barrier. So that same barrier will exist even when we assume God as our father. Alternatively, we can say, oh, I assume him as my master and I being his slave. This is also another common approach, but of course there will be a lot of challenges in this approach also. We may not be able to share all our problems to our master. Maybe not, right? So, that may be a bit of a challenge. Now, you may have a next question here. Why should I go and talk to God? Will God understand only if I talk to him about my problems? The plain answer is no. It is not for God, but it is for us. Because we are human beings are called as social animals. We need to talk about our problems. Whether we are getting a solution or not is a second one, but we need someone to hear our problems. When we are just grumbling or mumbling about it, we need someone to listen to us. That's exactly what we are looking at. When we see God, we are going to share our problems. It's not for God, but it's for us. So that is the reason the relationship between the soul and God is very, very important. Now the next question is it possible to assume a friendship with God? Something like, Abe Sale, is it possible? That's the next question we will be asking. Nambi Arurar proved it's very much possible, and his entire life journey portrays this possibility to us. I'm sure most of us, 99% of us who are listening to this, you will be able to resonate with this life journey, with this experience, because we are also most likely, the same experience we will be sharing. This is a very magnificent relationship we are talking about, yet a very, very simplistic form, having a very good friendship. Due to the friendship, the incidents in his life are more hilarious and more informal in nature. Some of his padigams, when you read it, you will automatically start laughing, you will automatically start smiling, giggling. It's like, how can someone behave like this with God? You know, so because that kind of an informal feeling you will start getting. Let's share some of the experiences here. Nambi Arurar was sleeping in a place called as Sittavada Mutt. There's a mutt, it's called as Sittavada, and he was sleeping over there. Lord Shiva came again in a very disguised manner as an old man and places his feet on Nambi Arurar's head. Nambi Arurar's sleep is disturbed, so he gets up with an anger, and when he sees this old man, he feels a little bit compassionate, because when we see old people, we will automatically have that compassionate feeling, right? So he just tells him, boss, your feet is on my head. And this old man says, oh, sorry, maybe due to my old age, I'm unable to recognize that. So Nambi Arurar turns to another direction and continues his sleep. Now again he's feeling something on his head. He wakes up again to see the same old man placing his feet on Nambi Arurar's head. Can you imagine how annoying this behavior would have been? Immediately Nambi Arurar gets up and he says, why are you stamping me again and again and again? And then Lord Shiva playfully answers, haven't you recognized me? And Nambi gets very emotional. When you read that padigam, right, you can see how he is repenting for his ignorance of not identifying Lord Shiva. But these kind of playful behaviors you would be able to see a lot in Nambi Arurar's life. There was also another incident which I'm sure most of us will be able to relate with as well. Remember, I was telling Nambi Arurar was born because of two ladies. One lady was born in Thirumurai as her name is Paravai Nachiyar. Nambi gets married to her, so the first half, 50% of his karmic deeds are complete. So Nambi marries her, and she has one of the service to feed the sadhus and sadhaks with meal. There was a landlord by the name called as Kundayur Kirar. He always gives them a rice sack so that she could continue her service. Apparently, due to famine that year, the harvest was not so good, so he couldn't provide as always what he did. So he goes to Lord Shiva and says, you see, I'm not able to provide, now I don't know what to do. And Lord Shiva, because his friend is Nambi Arurar, right, he can't let go of Nambi Arurar. So what Lord Shiva does is, he brings in mountains of rice. When Kundayur Kirar sees that, he's like, oh my God, how am I going to take this and transport it to Nambi Arurar? No other way. So what he does is, he goes to Nambi Arurar, he tells the entire story and say, God has given so much of rice, I don't know how to transport it, you do whatever it takes. Nambi Arurar looks at this and then he's shocked, obviously, because you can see heaps and heaps of rices over there in the entire place. He goes to the temple nearby called as Thirumurai. He goes there and he sings a song saying that, I have few rice over there which I am unable to carry. Can you help to transport it for me? Basically, he is asking Lord Shiva to be to do a porter's service now. And imagine, it's mountains of rice that he is not able to carry. But he says, few rice, few grains of rice. If you look at it, it is absolutely true, you know. For human beings, it is mountain of rice. But when you talk about Lord Shiva, because of his plentiful belongingness that he is having, it's few. That's why this logic is perfectly agreeable. But he will say, I have few rice over there, I'm not able to take it. Can you please send it back? Now, Lord Shiva did the transportation service also for him, and the rice was all taken to Thiruvallur. Even today, this place called Kolili is always filled with rice. They have never faced a situation of lack of rice. Whatever kind of famine has happened, even without rain or whatever, it's always filled with rice. That's a truth even today you are able to witness. The next incident is also something which is which is going to be a lesson for us. In another situation, what he does is he goes to a temple. Basically, he wanted to ask for money, so he goes to a temple called as Thirupugalur. He's asking money to the god, but of no avail. So the others nearby, they give him advice saying that, oh, there are some kings here, there are some rich people here, why don't you maybe sing praises about them and they may give you money. Nambi was a bit upset with this, so he decides to take a nap in the temple, and what he did was he was looking around and there was a brick. So he took the brick and he kept it as his pillow and he covered with his Angavastra, right? So he covers it and then he takes a nap. After a while, he gets up to continue with his journey. He gets up. When he removes the Angavastra, he is able to see the brick has turned into a gold bar. At that point in time, he sings a padigam saying that the crux of the padigam is very simple. Don't go and sing about all the human beings because that's of no use. They won't be able to give you anything. Whatever you are going to sing is also going to be a full lie. It's a total lie. And whatever they are going to give is also not going to be sufficient. So all you have to do is sing to Lord Shiva. Sing to him. He will do whatever you need. He will do the needfulness. So just sing about Lord Shiva. This even today you will be able to see a tradition in this temple. They bring brick to the temple and they perform puja before they want to start construction of a house, because they believe that once they start with this kind of a puja, they will never get into a problem like loan not getting sanctioned or whatever, right? They will never get into that kind of situation and their house will be constructed 100% successfully. Even today this tradition is existing. Another incident in his life is very well linking with the current life. We are all comfortable and we all know the concept of ATM. But the ATM concept was given to us very first in the 9th century by Nambi Arurar. What happened is Nambi Arurar goes to this temple called as Thirumudukundram and he sings praises of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gives him 12,000 gold, which is equivalent of that would be around 96,000 grams of gold. Obviously, he is not able to carry this back. So he asks Lord Shiva, you have given me all these gold. Now, how am I going to carry this back? So Lord Shiva gives a suggestion. He says, okay, don't worry. Drop it in this bank. It's a river bank. Yeah, there's a river there. So he says, drop it in this river bank and withdraw at the temple pond at Thiruvarur. And he's doing it. He drops the gold in the river. He goes all the way to Thiruvarur and he takes a dip in the pond and he's getting all his 12,000 gold coins over there. So the concept of ATM was very first introduced to us by Nambi Arurar. None other banks can take the credit of this. Now what happens is we have seen his first wife, now the second, because the remaining 50% has to also complete, right? The second wife's name is Sangili Nachiyar. Basically, Nambi Arurar's life is going in a very smooth manner until he steps to Thiruvottriyur, which is near to Chennai. He steps into Thiruvottriyur, that's where his sweetheart is living. Her name is Sangili Nachiyar, as I was mentioning earlier. Nambi falls in love with her. And he approaches Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva convinces her for the marriage. You see what kind of a relationship Nambi had with Lord Shiva, that Lord Shiva goes all the way to her to convince her for the marriage. But she has a concern. She is aware that he is already married and his first wife is in Thiruvarur. So she says that, what if he leaves me? Natural fear, right? So Lord Shiva says, okay, don't worry. I'll ask Nambi Arurar to give you a promise that he won't leave you. So he comes to Nambi Arurar and says, see, she will marry you only if you promise her. But Nambi immediately he knows that he can't keep up the promise, because his life's purpose is to go temples and to sing praises of Lord Shiva. That is his objective, that is his life's purpose. So he very well knows that he cannot keep up the promise. So he tells Lord Shiva, okay, I'll make the promise, but I know I can't keep up. But what you have to do is, when I'm making the promise to her, you better don't stay in the Shivlinga. Imagine, have you ever seen a situation where Shivlinga without Shiva? For Nambi, he did that also. And he is also innocently asking Nambi Arurar, okay, if you ask me to leave Shivlinga, where else should I go and stay? And then Nambi Arurar say, oh, you do one thing, you go and stay in the tree over there. This tree is called as Magila Maram, Magil. So he said, you go and stay in that tree. Lord Shiva agrees, but he's not keeping quiet. I mean, you can see the double game that Lord Shiva plays. He goes in the dream of Sangili Nachiyar, the wife to be, and he says, okay, tomorrow he will make the promise, but when he is doing the promise, don't go near the linga, but get it near the tree itself. When she comes in, he's also coming in, as in the bride and the groom is coming in, and the bride is asking, okay, now you can give me the promise. And then she also adds on, why do you want to bring all the way to the Shivlinga? You can make it near the tree itself. He knows that he's caught red-handed. He doesn't have a choice, so he is giving the promise. So he stays there with her for a while and all these, and then after that he remembers the other temples, especially Thiruvarur temple, which is what his Anma Murtam is. So he decides to leave the place. The moment he steps out of the place, he loses both his eyesight. Even today, this place is called as Kaladipettai. It is next to, almost near to the sub-registrar's office near Thiruvotriyur. You will see this place called as Kaladipettai, which literally translates as stepping the foot off. So the moment he steps off the place, he loses his eyesight. There's a very important lesson here. Imagine if we make a mistake, right? Whoever it is, I mean, it can be any kind of a person, there is surely going to be a punishment. Even if it is the closest friend of Lord Shiva, there is no doubt about here. Now we may have another question here. Nambi made only one false promise and he was punished by taking away his eyesight. On a daily basis, we keep breaking promises, probably for the umpteenth time. We have lost even the count. Why aren't we losing our eyesight or anything of that sort? A very good analogy is needed to remember this. See, we all have carpets at home, right? I mean, basically because of the chillness, we all have carpets at home. Do we clean them on a daily basis? The simple answer is no. Probably monthly once or 2 months once. We have to do a hard wash because it's over a month of time the dirt is accumulated, so we have to do a hard wash. On the contrary, imagine we are going for a party and we are wearing a nice pattu sari and there's a small little dirt that is on the sari. Immediately we'll rush to the washroom and clean it up. Immediately we'll try to make sure that it doesn't stain our sari and all these, right? That's the same analogy we have to say here. Nambi Arurar is like the pattu sari. So Lord Shiva is immediately cleaning it up. We are like the carpets. One fine day, he is going to have a hard wash on us. Sure. Before that, we have to repent for our faults and we have to just surrender ourselves. This is the very important lesson for us while we are reading the 7th Thirumurai. Even today, if we visit Thiruvotriyur, right, the path that we take, of course nowadays we take cars and all these, but if you look at the path, it is such in a real pathetic situation, especially the path from Thiruvotriyur to Thiruvenpakkam. If you go, I mean, of course I travel only by car, so when I go there, honestly we can't stop our tears. The moment we think he walked in this place without an eyesight. I'm talking about the 21st century, Imagine in the 9th century, what kind of a place would have that place been, right? And that kind of a harshness he was going through because of his breaking the promise. So he goes one temple at a time and quite a lot of events are happening, and then he visits, finally he goes to Kanchipuram. We all know Kanchipuram is a place of temples, right? So he goes there and he is literally begging for an eyesight, because without eyesight it would have been a very challenging, his path is very challenging, so he is literally begging. You can see the the feel in each and every padigam he's singing after he loses his eyesight. This beautiful padigam is ஆலம் தானுகந்து அமுது செய்தானே ஆதியை அமரர் தொழுது ஏத்தும் சீலம் தான் பெரிதும் உடையானை சிந்தி பாரவர் சிந்தையுளானை ஈலவார் குழலாள் உமை நங்கை என்றும் ஏத்தி வழிபட நின்ற காலனை கம்பனெம்மானை காண கண்ணடியேன் பெற்றவாரே. He gets his left eye after this song, after this padigam. Even today we sing this song on a regular basis. If someone is going for an operation or even cataract surgery, we usually sing this padigam. It's a very, very powerful padigam. So he gets one eye and then he continues his journey all the way to Thiruvarur, and there he sings another padigam and he gets his right eyes also. Now the next very big issue is in front of him, his first wife. Paravanachiyar is so angry on him that she doesn't want to open the door for him. Obviously, right, he went all the way for temple visit and he got married somewhere, and now he is coming back. Obviously, she doesn't want to open the house. No other choice for Nambi Arurar. He goes again to Lord Shiva and says, okay, now you have to sort it out for me. So what Lord Shiva does is he literally walks up to her place, walks up to Paravanachiyar's house, and he convinces her, and then they start living again. Can you imagine what kind of an act Lord Shiva can do for friendship? This is what the power of friendship is all about. So honestly, this convinces us to take the relationship of being a friend, or assuming the relationship as a friend with Lord Shiva. Hearing this story, hearing this event rather, history, there's a king called as Ayarkon Kalikamar. He gets literally wild on Nambi Arurar. He says, how can someone send the Almighty to convince his wife, and after doing these kind of mistakes and all these? So there's a lot of misunderstandings here. Nambi Arurar could not keep quiet because his purpose, life purpose for coming to this earth is to praise hymns, as well as sing hymns and praises on not only Lord Shiva but also on basically the satsangs and all these also. So that is his life's purpose. So when one of the Nayanmar is not happy, once he knows that he is angry, he wants to immediately salvage the situation. So immediately Nambi Arurar is coming down to meet him and to befriend him. But this encounter is not as smooth as what we think, yeah. So he's literally angry. The king is literally angry. So Lord Shiva says, okay, I'll give him a stomach ulcer. And Lord Shiva goes to his dream and says, if Nambi Arurar comes, your stomach problem will be cured. The Nayanar is so staunch. He says, I decide to stay with this pain rather than meeting Nambi Arurar. I don't want to meet up with Nambi Arurar. Hearing this, Nambi Arurar decides to go in voluntarily as an uninvited guest. Hearing about Nambi Arurar's arrival, the king immediately commits suicide. He's in such a way, such a situation that he wants to avoid meeting Nambi Arurar at any cost, because he could not digest the truth that Nambi Arurar could send Lord Shiva to convince his wife. That he took that as not as a friendship, but he took it as absolute disgust. So he could not really take that. Then Nambi Arurar goes down, and then because of Lord Shiva's grace and all these, the Nayanmar is coming back to life, and then the bondage between both of them becomes more stronger. So if you see, there's a lot of these kind of situations that we are able to resonate with, especially when you talk about the normal life that we are leading. So when the simple issues at home, the simple issues at workplace, the simple issues of financial issues, emotional issues, and we do see a solution that Nambi Arurar is giving through his Padigams. As I was mentioning earlier, the main focus of Nambi Arurar being sent, because if you look at it, Kailash is a place where Cupid, the god Lord Cupid, or rather Kama, was actually killed, right, or burnt to death. And in that place, if a person has to fall in love with two ladies, it's literally not practically possible, literally not possible. So it is a clear indication that Lord Shiva played the trick. What is the objective of Lord Shiva? Why does he need to play this trick? That's the next question we will have, right? Because Lord Shiva decided that there must be one kind of a culture that we are bringing up for this world. All of us know we need to pray to Shivlinga. We all know we need to pray our Guru, because Guru and Lord Shiva, we can't separate those two. But how about we call them as Adiyar? Adiyar means someone who's worshipping Shiva, someone who's in the path of Saivism. How about Adiyargal? Are we going to just let go of them? We should also pray them, right? We should sing praises of them. And in order to put in this kind of a culture in place, Nambi Arurar was chosen as the right target, and he was sent down, and that is the reason he even saw the two girls or two ladies in the orchard, the flower orchard. So that is the situation now we are going to enter into. Nambi Arurar is in the Thiruvarur temple. He sees a group of devotees sitting there, and they are having a satsang. Nambi Arurar looks at them, and he's feeling a little bit conscious, and he says, how am I going to talk to them? So he slowly slips into the temple without paying respect to the group. Basically, it is not because of disrespect, but because of hesitation. He was a little bit hesitant, that's the reason. The leader of this group notices this, and he says, how come someone can be so rude that he is not paying respect to the satsang? So he says, okay, from now on, we have to neglect him from Saivam. He is not going to be a Saivite anymore. Remove him from Saivam. Imagine, Nambi Arurar is a very close friend of Lord Shiva, and he is being disregarded from Saivism. Can you imagine this? And then in that particular team, one person immediately says, oh Guru, what happened is Nambi Arurar is Lord Shiva's very close friend, and Lord Shiva himself has said that he is his friend. Hearing this, the leader got even more mad. He said, if that is true, then Lord Shiva is also out of Saivism. Can you imagine someone saying Lord Shiva is going to be disregarded from Saivism? Interesting, right? This can happen only in Saivam, and you know what? He is also praised as one of our Nayanar. He is also one of our Guru, by the way. Now, Nambi Arurar goes into the temple. Lord Shiva gets nervous. He's like, if you don't praise me, if you don't pray to me, I'll be perfectly okay. But how come you are not able to pray them? How did you disregard that? Go pay respect and then come back. Because without them, I'm nothing. This is the words from Lord Shiva. He says, without Adiyar, I'm nothing. So please go and pay respect to them. And that is where Nambi Arurar sings the most famous Padigam called as Thiruttonda Thogai. On a daily basis, any Saivite must recite this. There are 12 verses there. We should be reciting this on a daily basis. Now, this Thiruttonda Thogai is the basis for 12th Thirumurai, which is called as Periya Puranam. Periya means, literally if we look at it, Periya means big, but not in size, but it's in its content. So, it's a very, very important Padigam for any Saivite on a daily basis, early in the morning. Whether you are reading the other Padigams or not, it doesn't matter, we must read this. Just a sample, because of course we have to talk about this, and you guys are all Saivite Adiyars here, so I need to pay respect as well. Pattarai panivargal ellarkum adiyen, Paramanai paduvar adiyarkum adiyen, சித்தத்தை சிவன் பாலே வைத்தார்க்கும் அடியேன் திரு ஆரூர் பிறந்தார்கள் எல்லார்க்கும் அடியேன் முப்போதும் திருமேனி திண்டுவார்க்கடியேன் முழு நீரு பூசிய முனிவர்க்கும் அடியேன் அப்பாலும் அடி சார்ந்தார் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மானு காளே. Such verses are there. As I said, almost like 11 verses are there. We have to read this on a daily basis to make us stand in this path of Saivism. Interestingly, you are able to see Viral Minder, who removed Lord Shiva itself from Saivism as one of our Nayanmar. Erkon Kalikamar, he was angry with one Adiyar and he is also hailed as one of the Nayanmar. Nayanmar means literally translated as Guru. So basically we are talking about our Gurus. There are 63 Gurus that we have to worship on a daily basis. Now coming to the most important section of our history, Seraman Perumal Nayanar. He is also one of the king. Now we call it as Kerala. That's the place Seraman Perumal Nayanar belongs to. He was the king of that place. The friendship between Nambi Arurar and Seraman Perumal becomes grows thick on a regular basis. There's a lot of encounters that we can share with this friendship, but just as just one simple example I'll just talk about, because in the interest of time. When he goes to when both of them are doing their temple visits, they are crossing Thiruvayar place, where the river, basically they are traveling, but they are on the other shore of the river bank, whereas the temple is on the opposite side, and the river is gushing out with full stream. Now this king wants to visit the temple. No choice, so Nambi Arurar sings again another beautiful padigam, and because of that padigam, the river actually stops and gives way. The two of them get across the river without getting wet. Even today we are able to see this place from where they would have possibly seen the temple. Even today we are able to witness that. So as I said, we are not talking about anything related to myth, everything is history. This king lives in Kodungolur. Right now it is near to the place called as Trishur. On the day of Adi month, Swadi star, Nambi Arurar visits his friend. Here he hears that his friend is having his bath, the morning rituals and all these, and he is having his bath. So Nambi decides, okay, let me go and visit the temple by the time he can come in. When he visits the temple, he is there, he sings a padigam, and immediately he realizes enough is enough. Enough is enough, that's it. The moment he feels that, Lord Shiva immediately sends him a white elephant to bring him back to Kailash. Imagine bringing someone back to Kailash with Lord Shiva's own vehicle, his white elephant, is something that only Nambi Arurar got. If you look at it, no other, our gurus had that kind of blessing. Through the yogic power, the king realizes this. So he rushes to the place and immediately he sees his horse standing there. He chants Sivaya Nama mantra on the ears of the horse, and the horse also starts following the white elephant. Both of them reach Kailash. Being a friend of Lord Shiva, Nambi Arurar was invited with a white elephant back home. Obviously that's a home, right? So he was invited back home. Being a friend of Nambi Arurar, Seraman Perumal Nayanar also reached Kailash in a jiffy. So if you can imagine, just by chanting Nambi Arurar's name, we can see so many of them who have achieved self-realization state. For example, Seraman Perumal Nayanar, Paravai Nachiyar, Sangili Nachiyar, and the girl who was about to be married to Nambi initially, Erkon Kalikamar, Perumalai Kurumbar, Somayaji. There are a lot more. Yeah, I'm just talking about only a few. All of them attained moksha only by chanting Nambi Arurar's name. So let's all chant his name and achieve self-realization easily. I've only indicated a few of his life incidents over here, but I would request you guys to dwell deep into it if time permits. Please explore more. You will see a lot of miraculous deeds in his life. Honestly, if you look at it, at least to me, as I said, this is my Upadesh text. This is the first time I have completely spoken about him without tears in my eyes. It's that kind of text. I'm purposefully trying to deviate because you will be able to relate with that. Emotionally, you will be able to get attached because it resonates very well with our worldly life, the way how we lead our life. So you will be able to relate with that, resonate with that. So I would request you guys to also read this text and benefit from that. தென்னாடுடைய சிவனே போற்றி எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி அண்ணாமலையம் அண்ணா போற்றி கண்ணார் அமுத கடலையே போற்றி சிவ சிவ திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Back to you, man.